This presentation is a reflection of my user research class. The purpose of this course was to explore 3 research methodologies to produce data-driven design recommendations in an independent project while learning about the vital role research plays in the design process. User research is focused on understanding the needs, pain points, and process of users to decipher and uncover points of improvement for the design. Researchers have a host of methods they use to deploy depending on the context in which they are investigating. For this class, we focused on 3: field observation, interviews, and surveys. For this quarter, I explored the underlying motivations behind users' actions when disposing of waste to propose data-driven design solutions for future waste disposal systems at the Hub and University of Washington campus, with the goal of identifying opportunities for improvement and provide recommendations for future designs. The first part of my research was to conduct 3 30-minute peer observation studies. These observations took place at the Hub dining area. This initial study observed the practices and produced findings of waste disposal techniques of students at the Hub. Some of the limitations of the study were prevalent in my data analysis. I faced several difficulties during the sessions. Masses of users made it impossible to observe everyone, and there was even an event, Parents' Weekend, that may have changed the behavior of my population. And there was not enough time to collect quantitative data to generalize the entire student population. The method and execution of my study allowed for me to blend easily into the environment. The seat where I chose to observe from gave me good visualizations of the entire user experience, and I was able to observe student behavior in different settings, which allowed me to see different usages and interactions with the space. In future field observations, I need to define clearer focuses for each session. The focuses I had for my study were too broad or were not as important to the overarching goal of the research. I enjoyed fieldwork as it allowed me to analyze everyday activity in a detailed, methodical manner and observe behaviors I would have missed otherwise. The second part of my research included semi-structured interviews with 3 university students. The interviews focused on clarifying assumptions from my field research by finding out why participants did what they did. This method allowed me to delve deeper into my observations and gather qualitative data for my design recommendations. Due to a lack of time, I was only able to conduct 3 30-minute interviews. My participants were recruited from my community circle and reflected a specific population, engineering students in their 3rd year at the university. This is a subset of the population and may have biased my interview findings. The strengths of my research include my note-taking capabilities. I successfully connected with my participants, took handwritten notes, and audio recorded while staying engaged with my interviewee. I also found that my pre-written questions were well thought out and gave me insight into the user's experience and knowledge of waste sorting at the Hub and in their everyday lives. I need to remember to recruit participants earlier and encourage detailed answers. I found that when I asked my follow-up questions, I struggled with delivery, and that may have impacted the comprehension of the questions. I also found myself struggling to refrain from asking leading or biased follow-up questions. Moving into the third and final methodology of the quarter, I created a survey that focused on verifying initial findings from my field research and interviews, which investigated the waste disposal practices of UW students. The survey provided me with quantitative data that I later analyzed. My survey had several questions that relied on participants answering truthfully about their sorting practices. The responses suggested that 60% of participants sorted waste even when they felt rushed, which contradicts what I observed in my field study and interviews. This inconsistency may be from participants' biases, or my questions may have primed participants to answer how they perceive themselves to act. The strengths of my survey include recruiting a decent reflection of my intended user group. I also thoroughly analyzed my data through several methods. Overall, the research I conducted asked the right questions and validated my assumptions. To be successful in my next survey project, I need to remember to recruit participants from a wider range of demographics. I also need to create the survey so that it relates closer to my previous findings while making sure I can complete a thorough statistical analysis. After conducting a quarter's worth of work and implementing 3 research methodologies, I uncovered 3 key findings. First, students rely heavily on the presence of visual aids. Second, higher confidence may result in users sorting more frequently. And thirdly, peer pressure affects how students throw away waste. These findings result in a failure to sort and waste being thrown into the landfill, which harms the environment and is a financial burden to the UW, who has to pay more for disposing of landfill waste. Based on the key findings from the survey, interview, and observation research, I proposed several alternative design solutions for future consideration. Short term, the UW can hire a small staff of professional sorters. Long term, the UW could invest in a smart system that is voice and/or audio enabled and reinforces positive sorting habits. Additionally, color-coded labels should be placed on all food packages which correlate to their respective waste bin. I value that user research allows me to analyze everyday activity in a detailed, methodical manner. Most of the activities we do are second nature, and I feel like we rarely think about them. I love that user researchers can take these ordinary processes and see patterns and solutions to problems most people can't. Overall, I would have liked to have had more time and at least one other researcher to help keep track of participants, notes, and analysis. I found that conducting field observations and interviews was very difficult with a single person, but I feel like this prepared me for some of the obstacles I will face in the industry. In the future, I think it will be important for me to look back on what I accomplished this quarter and remind myself of the challenges I faced. There are several places where my technique needs improvement, and with time my research abilities will grow. As I build upon the foundation of the teachings in this class, I will be able to conduct meaningful research in the future.